Hi, Tommy.
Hi, how are you?
So most times, I check my phone and I'm saying Apostle Tommy. I'm saying Prophet Tommy.
Right.
And I get a chance to meet Tommy.
Oh, yes.
Not the Apostle, not the Prophet,
Yes,
just
sir.
Tommy.
Yes, sir.
How's Tommy doing?
Tommy is doing well. I think I have to be all of it. Dad Tommy, Apostle Tommy, author Tommy, minister Tommy, domestic Tommy. And so it's a very complex question, actually. I only get to see myself between the hours of 12 and 2.
How? At night?
I stay up.
Just to see yourself?
Deliberate me time.
Wow. Always?
Always.
So when you wake up every day?
I wake up by 5. I start my walk at 6.
So you just do 4 hours of sleep every day?
Yeah, I don't need much sleep. I don't even like sleeping. I have a huge FOMO.
For sleeping?
Fun fact.
Wait.
For as young as I can remember, I'm very much like my son Harvey. I don't like going to bed because I have a fear of missing out. Like something's happening, whether it's in the spirit or whether it's in the day. Friend comes around, I missed him. So it works for my watchman anointing to have fun.
So how do you rest?
I rest. Those 4 hours are very good for me. They're very good. And sometimes, not often, but sometimes I'll go for like an hour power nap.
And back at
And
it.
then I'm back at it again.
So on Instagram, people know that I like Burna Boy. I'm a fan of Burna Boy, and it's shameless that I'm a fan of Burna Boy. But he sang a new song called Anidigbo Anshayo.
Okay.
And Igbo means, you know what Igbo means?
An
It
Igbo
means
man.
weed.
Oh, weed.
And Igbo and Shayo.
Oh, and, okay. Weed and drink.
And weed and drink.
Okay.
And people are tormenting me. See the person you love. Is weed a sin to me?
Is weed a sin? Oh, God, what a hard question. Woo, going there. Well, my challenge is nothing is a sin except what man does to it.
You're smart. You're smart. You're smart.
It's what we do with it that turns it into a sin. Like, is metal a sin? Well, you can make weapons out of it that kill people, right? So nothing is a sin except when it gets into man's hands and what we do with it turns it into that.
Man, you just go out.
Just staying safe.
Just stay safe. Just stay.
I know you're gonna keep doing
Just stay safe.
do your job as a man.
But honestly, that's the thing. But why are kids on? It's like the drug epidemic in Nigeria is triple. Right. Why are kids hooked on? Why is this young? So the Gen Zs, why are they hooked on? What do you think?
I think we all innately, and I've given this a lot of thought, so I'm glad you asked this question. I think we all innately, intrinsically, we know that we are built to lose control.
Explain.
I think for us, we go to fun fair. And you say, well, what's a fun fair? It's going on a ride that you know could potentially kill you. We're doing it anyway. We call that fun fair, right?
Yeah.
And then some of us go on planes with parachutes.
I've done that.
Jump out.
I've done that.
Well, this generation is becoming a bit more able. I found lately, that's usually reserved for my Caucasian brothers and sisters. But even my PA's done it. I'm gonna do it when I'm 90. If I reach 90, I told God I'll do it. Because then I'd have lived and stuff. So.
I did that, yeah.
But we have a desire to lose control. All of that expresses our desire. Because when we're in control, we're at our most miserable. When everything we have to control, our kids, control our life, control our food, control our job, control our this, we're at our most depressed. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have self-control. Please understand that. Self-governance, I think, is so important.
Life, yeah.
But we're created to surrender to something. We jump out of planes because we want to surrender to the air and gravity and see what will happen. We go on fun fairs because we want to surrender to the thrill of something bigger than us controlling us. And I think this generation's starvation for drugs, starvation for alcohol, is a longing for a Lord that they're supposed to surrender and give up total control to, but they're afraid to. The scariest thing you can do in life is surrender your life to Christ, because that is it's the high you never come down from, actually. But drugs, alcohol, they're high, don't get me wrong, but we come down. And when you come down, you need to keep getting more to get high.
But Toms, let's just talk real.
Okay.
A lot of Christian parents call me and say, my kids are on, and they know Jesus. I'm for it. I'm a doctor, I'm a media, so they share with me. They know Jesus, but they're still on drugs. They're still on hard drugs. So the Jesus that you're high on, why is it not catching them?
Well, it's like saying I'm smoking weed or I'm drinking alcohol. Why are you not drunk? Because they need to drink as well. Everybody needs to drink. And, somebody actually said this to me, a friend of mine. He said, do you notice how when Mary was at the wedding feast, the first miracle of Jesus was to turn water into wine? And wine is a substance that inebriates, it makes high.
Shayo.
It is shayo. So this first miracle was even
Was
on
shayo.
a miracle.
Was Bonaboy's miracle, no?
Partly. The weed wasn't a part of the mix. But, Jesus is... The first thing we've got to realize is Jesus is not averse to inebriation. He wants us to be drunk, but he wants us to be drunk with the Holy Spirit. And that's the drink. So we realize that the first act of Pentecost was people going, these men are on shayo.
On shayo.
And they're like, it's only 3 p.m, what do you mean? So you can be a Christian, but not be a drunk Christian. That's one thing we have to make the distinction between. Another thing is when he was at this wedding feast, the mum said, the wine is gone. And it's possible for a generation to be at the party and not realize that the wine has gone. Does that make sense? Imagine being at the party and only one woman knows there's no more wine. That means you're inebriated and you're drunk off of a wine, an old wine.
Wow.
And it takes one woman to say, hang on a second.
The wine is
The
gone.
wine is gone. And so Jesus said, well, what's that to do with me? My time has not yet come. But Jesus does this miracle where he turns water into wine, and the Bible says, you've saved the best wine till last. I actually believe that prophetically it speaks of a generation. There's a generation that's like, why are my children not Christians? Because they need the new wine. And God's not going to put new wine in an old wineskin. So every generation needs to cry out for another drink, because what gets you high in this season is not going to be what lasted and helped them in their generation.
Wow. So we must thank Bona for this song.
I'm joking. This one is not my own.
But then, this month, May, is Mental Health Month. And aside the need to get high, people are also fighting depression and burnout and lack of closure and shame and compounded pressure. And how do you battle? A prophet, you can't be depressed. Prophets.
Not true. Not true. Prophets are among the most depressed people in the world. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Prophets are the most depressed people on the face of planet.
Tell me you hear God saying, go left. Go. Why are we be depressed?
Okay, so let's look at our history of ancestry.
Okay, cool.
We look at Moses, who after he led the children of Israel out of the wilderness said, God, kill me now. We look at Elijah, who when he defeated Jezebel's prophets, he said, God, kill me now. We look at Prophet Jeremiah, who said, God, write my name out of the birth book and curse the doctor who declared to my mother, you have a man-child. I want to die now. So every prophet in history had a suicide letter they wrote to God.
Why?
Because prophets and prophetic people live in a hyper-present. They prophesy things that they expect to happen today. And because they're not happening today, they're the most depressed people in the world. You ask prophetic people and they get a prophecy, you're going to be, they're thinking, this prophecy hasn't happened yet.
Wow.
So they live in a hyper present. Everybody else lives in a present. Their present is hyper. They're expecting, come on, this is what God said I was going to be. Why am I not there yet? And so prophets and prophetic people are among the most depressed people on the face of the
So how do you cope? Sincerely.
I think you cope. I learned to cope. I didn't learn to cope. Okay, so the first thing is don't cope. Don't survive. I think the most oppressive place you can be is in pH neutral. It's in that zero place. It's in that I'm just surviving each day, getting by. Survival mentality is what keeps us depressed. And it's something somebody said to me, and it's a lesson that I learned actually. As a child, my parents would come to me and say, we're going to Disneyland, we're going to Disneyland. And when they told me, it was their biggest mistake. You know, Florida Disneyland, not the fake one with the French guy, right? And not that California one, the real one. I think they call it Disney World.
Yeah, Disney World.
Yes. So I was so excited. Imagine, you know, I'm 15 years old, I'm a kid, I'm like, we're going to Disney World. I'm probably younger, I don't even remember how old I was. Anyway, long story short, every day I would tell my parents, are we there? Is it time? And my dad would say, I told you today, go and do your homework. I do my homework, but I'm constantly thinking, so I'm not even doing well, because I'm like, Disneyland, I can't wait to meet this person, I can't wait to go on this ride.
So you're living in the future?
I'm living in something that my parents told me was coming, which is like prophecy. So anyway, I get to Disneyland or Disney World, and I'm excited, don't get me wrong, but my excitement, I was shocked that as a young man there, my excitement wasn't the same. You know, it was like when I was anticipating a brand new bike and my dad finally got me a brand new bike. I'll never forget, it was midnight and we ran downstairs, there's our bike. I rode the bike for maybe a month. Then after that, I was like, it's a bike. You realize that the journey is better than the destination. It's way more exciting. And sometimes we live our lives so much at the destination that when we get there, it's like, why are all these music artists doing drugs and alcohol? Because they realized actually it was the build-up, it was the anticipation that was the drug. Because drugs is people don't do cocaine, they don't snort drugs, they don't do weed, they don't drink alcohol. When you look at the science of it, it's dopamine. It's the happy drug. So cocaine makes dopamine rise. Funnily enough, alcohol does the same. All these cause dopamines to rise. It's the same with antidepressants. They're all finding ways to boost your dopamine levels. We're in a world of people who just want to constantly have a dopamine rush. The dopamine drops when you reach the destination.
Crazy.
The dopamine rises in the excitement of the journey.
Crazy.
Will this actually happen? Will I actually be a prophet to nations? Will I actually be a musician? Will I actually manage it? We're excited, but we're scared at the same time. When you finally reach that destination, it's like the children of Israel in the promised land. Finally they get there, they squander it. They ruin the whole promised land. Because God was trying to teach them about the excitement of, imagine you get to journey with God. Imagine you get to walk with me. You get to see me do all these amazing things. You get to watch me rescue you and save you.
But they wanted the destination.
They want the destination.
But the prophetic is about the destination.
Prophetic is about the destination, you're right. But the prophetic isn't about let me tell you what the prophetic is about. The prophetic is about the end, right? God makes known the end from the beginning. Never the process, just the end. It's like the big spoiler alert. Don't worry, this is going to happen at the end of the movie. That's God, right? Write the vision, make it plain, for the vision speaks of the end, right? Though it tarries, wait for it shall surely speak.
Yeah.
So, but God knows something about human beings. He knows that, first of all, if he ever explained the journey,
They won't go.
you won't go. Joseph ain't going to go with all the peas that are going to pee him off on the way. But he also knows that we're addicted and afflicted to the journey of life. But it's a mentality change. Remember, you said how'd you cope? I've learned to stop coping.
So what do you do now?
I've learned to enjoy it. Well,
Every
think
day.
of this. You say, come do an interview with me today. I'm like, sure. Why? Because I'm like, I don't know where this is going. You don't even know where your questions are going.
No.
But I love this journey. It's like, okay, I'm going to be on a platform that's a little bit different from maybe Apostle Kingsley's platform, who I love, or a preacher's
get it.
platform. I wanna
So you enjoy it.
I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm even learning to enjoy failure. Because failure is the biggest part of success. Getting it wrong is the biggest part of getting it right. And I'm learning to say, okay, I messed up.
So Tommy, you can see that you are now more present, more
present
centered.
than I've ever been.
Ever.
More present than I've ever been. And honestly, it's changed my marriage. Because marriage requires presence. I mean, you know this. A wife is a presence monitor.
I'm struggling with that, man.
Where are you? Where are you?
Where
You're
are
not
you?
here. It's like,
I'm watching a movie. It's like, you're not here.
right.
So, how did you cope with that? So
I had
it
to.
was a struggle.
It was a struggle, but I had to come back to the present. Jesus said, "Don't worry about tomorrow. Each day worries about itself." So I had to stop worrying about tomorrow and start living deliberately in today. Every day I used to wake up with a mindset,
Tomorrow.
I can't wait for tomorrow, I hate today, or I miss yesterday. See, depressed people are in that kind of
crazy,
polarizing tension between
living in yesterday
versus
becoming
maybe tomorrow will be better.
No.
And as cliche as that saying sounds, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. I've learned to receive the present called today.
But you know what, Tommy? Honestly, yesterday when you told me that you started at 15, so you've done this for years.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not our mates, even if you are a colleague. We started like 10 years ago.
We're age mates, not stage
Not stage mates.
Okay.
But a lot of people are on social media, on Facebook, and they see their friends move past them. You're lucky, nobody moved past you. You started early.
Move past me.
Not really, not really. But people have moved past them and they're in their 40s, they haven't arrived. It's tough.
I think it depends on how you're measuring success. So if I'm measuring success by who I want it to be, a preacher was the last thing on my mind.
Are you serious?
Do you know what I was going to do? I was going to be an actor. Why are you laughing at me?
You're shy. You're an introvert.
When I'm on the stage, I'm not.
No, you're not.
And you'll find this about most actors.
Oh wow, sure.
I could memorize anything. It's why I'm good at memory verses, because I could memorize lines, I could memorize sentences, I could.
So you wanted to be an actor?
I was on my way. In fact, I had a friend then. I won't say her name. All I'll say is she's famous now. But we grew up together. We were just best friends with their family, and we acted together. And actually, we did a play together. We did Fame together. And there was a talent agent at Fame. And the talent agent called us both aside and said, listen, give me your details, give me your digits. I'm going to make you guys stars. I'm born again at this point. And in my born again-ness, I had no seven mountain philosophy. So here I was like, wow, the world is sin, and stay away from that music, stay away from this movie. So I said, no, I'm just going to kind of live mediocre in my mediocre theater world. She went on to act in Fast and Furious.
What?
I kid you not. I kid you not. I'm not going to say her name.
No, don't say her
name. I'm going to let you find out. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Quick question. Now that you know about the seven mountains and you know about governance, would you have?
Yes.
What about the prophetic?
I do all of it. Like I said, it's a journey. You see, who tells you can't be an actor and a preacher? Only other preachers tell you that. And they'll criticize you and they'll mock you for it. But one day it will become a new normal And then somebody else will do something to push the bar again. They'll criticize them. Then it'll become their new normal. You know, for me, you know, who tells you you cannot do those things other than the people? Let me give you this analogy. I don't know if I've given you this before, but one day I was at an airport and we're getting ready to catch a plane. I was with my brother and a couple of other people. If you know something about British people, the culture of Britain is very opposite to Nigerian culture. I've noticed Nigerians, especially my PA who's Igbo, don't know how to really say please or thank you. They just go, drive there, move your seat forward.
I mean, boy, I say please, oh. I'm joking, continue.
But, you know,
I get it.
It's very commanding English.
Very,
command
very,
English.
yes.
You know, when Nigerians in a different country, they stand out like a swollen thumb because they're always like, why is this on? Oh, can you move your seat forward? I'm just, you know, and, you know, my PA is like this, and I always look at my PA and say, please. And I say, oh, thank you. But I love it because of the impoliteness of the Igbo, they have found a way to succeed financially and prosper in ways that yes, when you're too polite, you wait in queue. You know, UK is the queue capital of the world. They love lines. They love lining up, traffic. They love, you know, not like Nigerians who will make a way where there's no way. It's queue all the way to stockpile the M25. So here I am at an airport, people are queuing up, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna skip the queue. All of a sudden, as I'm skipping the queue, I'm like, excuse me, my brother's waiting for me. I'm skipping the queue, like, oh, people are like, I can't believe it. They're all gossiping, like, I can't believe it. Look at this guy, skipping the queue. Here's this guy, skipping the queue. Remember, we're in Denmark, right? And Denmark is kind of a queuing place as well. Look at this, skipping the queue. Oh. And then one person came to me and said, excuse me, there's a queue. I said, I noticed, and I carried on walking, right? Finally, I got to the front, and I realized that there's a waiting room downstairs where people can sit down, but people didn't know it because they were all queuing up. Nobody knew there were empty seats, and there was nobody waiting to take their ticket downstairs. I just went and sat down and waited to board the plane. Then all of a sudden, people noticed me sitting down through the glass, and they all skipped the queue. What happened? I found a rule worth breaking, and I broke it. See, Jesus said, rules and traditions, they make the word of God ineffective. Jesus was a law follower and a rule breaker. Why is he washing his hands? Why is he not washing his hands on the Sabbath day? What's he doing? Picking his
Saliva.
How dare
Saliva.
They always said, this is a Sabbath, you can't do that. He found rules that kept people bound. Doesn't he know she's a sinful woman? He didn't care about the rules, he cared about the law, but not human rules. And I think, especially in this country, Nigeria, that loves rules, culture, and tradition, it's waiting for a maverick who can come into the system and just break a rule. It's like, wow, he broke a rule. Oh, they all talk.
But he's okay. He's still there.
He's still there. Then he break another rule. Oh my gosh, he broke another rule. Then before you know it, he'll just completely break the rule. Then he'll raise disciples. You see, he is not the leader. I remember watching a really powerful video about leaders versus followers. Powerful. You see, every new move or every movement is waiting for a rule breaker. Should we wait for this or should we continue?
Should we continue?
Okay.
Continue.
Every movement is waiting for a rule breaker. Every movement is waiting for somebody to break the rules. So there's this guy in this video, and he's in a park, and everybody's sitting down eating food at a picnic. There's like maybe 500 people there. He's eating food, then he gets up, he plays music, and he starts dancing. I mean, he's dancing like a white boy. There's no rhythm, there's no flow. He's just out there flailing his hands about, dancing. So all of a sudden, another person gets up and joins him. It's on YouTube, you can watch the video. This other person gets up and joins him. Now, you ask yourself, is that person who got up and danced first a leader? No, he's not a leader, he's a fool. He's what's called the first fool. The person who danced after him is called the leader, because he makes the first fool credible. And then, once he gets up and dances, all of a sudden, a couple more people start, and then everybody gets up and dances. Then the video plays on the fact that we give too much credit to the first fool and not to the leader who made the first fool credible. And I wondered as I sat down, who was my leader that made me credible? At a time when the prophetic really wasn't that cool, I was operating in the prophetic. And young, naive, people looking on, this guy's trying to bring the prophetic, doesn't know it's about the word of God, it's about doctrine. We cannot be talking about this. And so for years, I was operating in my flow, staying in the prophetic, and I found a leader who made me credible. And then that leader got followers, and it grew into a
John the
movement.
Baptist and Jesus.
Exactly. John's the first fool, Jesus is the leader.
That's it.
And he makes the fool look credible. And I think, even for you, breaking out in all of these ways, I mean, you are breaking tables, upsetting folks. Keep going.
Man.
Because one day you're going to get a leader who's going to make you look credible.
When the last convo I had, you spoke about you were real, man. I was like, Tommy, the apostle, the prophets. You know Jay-Z. You know Kanye West.
Right.
Do you like Kanye West?
I do. He's interesting. He's an interesting character.
Interesting,
I
brilliant.
like his documentary on Netflix.
Genius,
Did you watch it?
brilliant,
Yes.
brilliant.
You can always see people who are successful because they're looking at other people like, don't you get my greatness? It's like he wasn't trying to make it. He was like, I've already made it. I'm just letting you guys.
The reason why
catch
I
up."
asked this question is because, Tommy, when I hear you, you're always talking about don't let an opportunity go. Fight. Christians generally, and I'll say this with all due respect, religion trained us to be like zoo creatures. We're not.
Tame.
We're tame. It's religion. We're tame, and the people of this world are taking over. You know what I mean? And how do we roar again?
I like the word tame. I think we're tame. Absolutely, we're lions, just like the lion of the tribe of Judah, but we're not domesticated. We're frustrated. If you look at everything that's happening with our leaders today, we're having leaders who are failing to really live up to the standards that they've set in many ways. And that's what's disappointed and disillusioned a lot of people about Christendom. It's like, how could you set a standard and not live the standard? And unfortunately, I fell into that trap myself. I set up so many standards that were impossible. Jesus said, you burden the people with things too difficult for them to bear, and you yourself have not lifted a finger to alleviate any one of them. So you realize you become a hypocrite eventually of the cultures that you're trying to set. Because howbeit you have been tamed, you are not domesticated. You can tame a lion, but you'll never domesticate him. He's still going to want blood. He's still never going to eat cooked meat. He wants raw. You understand? And so we're seeing this happen, and we're like, oh my goodness, look at these leaders, they fell. And you wonder, were they trying to be domesticated, and then all of a sudden they bit something that they were always meant to bite, but they were meant to bite it in a way that was legitimate and not illegitimate. And so we've set up these frameworks for ourselves to try to sterilize our Christianity and make it appealing to everybody, not realizing that the perception of perfection is what's killing us. And I think that
Thank you. The perception of perfection
is killing us.
It's killing us.
It's killing us, and
it's killing us.
It's killing people that come after us. It's killing people that are watching us. And I put out these transparency posts, during a time of my marriage shaking.
It was crazy on YouTube.
Yeah, and people are asking me, people are like, don't do that. Men of God should not be sharing their private lives, their flaws, their mistakes. I'm like...
When I battled porn before marriage, I told my wife, I put it out that, hey, I battled porn. I schooled in King's College. Porn was like...
Right.
So, but because of no shame, I became free.
It frees you.
I became free.
Right, and I think a lot of us are still governed by shame. A lot of us are still ruled by it. And it's even more dangerous when you have a ministry and you're ruled by shame, because it makes you more secretive, Nothing wrong with a private life. There's everything wrong with a secret life.
Secret life.
And they're not the same thing, Some some of us in ministry mistake secret life as private life. I don't want a private life. No, you want a secret life. You want a place that rewards you for all of your sacrifices for the kingdom, right? And you get away with it, and that's
It's dangerous.
Not how life is. It's very dangerous.
It's dangerous.
You know, I had to learn to bring my wife into my secret place because I was making the mistake of turning my private life into a secret life, and so I had to bring her in. You know, because otherwise, as preachers, you do eventually you go, goodness me. This is too much, and it is. It's unrealistic. The expectation.
It's crazy.
The expectation is unrealistic, but then we place it on ourselves by deifying ourselves. And I understand you have to walk worthy of the calling. I very much walk worthy of the fact that I'm called to ministry. There are things I can't get away with or I can't do. But deification is not the same thing.
It's dangerous.
Deification is like, I'm only not going to do those things in public, but I'll do them in private.
That's
deification.
That's deification. And it's dangerous. How did you handle loss totally from, because you're a fine man, an actor, that never be. Is lost over with you?
No, never ever.
So how do you cope?
The only way the Bible tells you to cope is flee. honestly, you can't speak in tongues, you can't pray, you flee. But I've also learned to be really honest with people, like really honest. So let me tell you a story. You got me telling bad stories. Let me tell you the story. I won't mention any other names but my own in this story because I don't want to incriminate anybody. But a couple of us were at a crusade this year, right? And we invited this guest worshiper. And she was known in the land we were in for being a praiser, worshiper person. So she showed up at the meeting. And the moment we're all on the stage sitting behind her, and she's right in front of all of us. And maybe there's like 10 of us on the stage, and 7 out of 10 of us are male. And she is well endowed.
Hallelujah.
She is well endowed. I mean, she has a derriere that
we get
but what she was wearing
was
it accentuated. You know, I believe to the one who much is given, much is expected. How have you got me having this conversation? I believe that. You know, honestly, there are women watching like, what do I do? It's not my fault I have big breasts. So to the one who much is given.
What is expected? Help us! Help us! Help us!
Absolutely.
Wow.
So she's now, I wish I could stand up and do what she was doing. She's like, we lift it up and we turn it around. And every time she does it around, every one of us is like the blood of
Jesus.
Just see all the men of God on the stage. I'm looking to my left and my right, and everyone is looking up to the hills. From whence comes their help? Nobody. I've never seen men more focused. All the women are like, they're looking angry. And I walk over to one of the men of God and I say, and we both look at each other at the same time as if we're saying, I know what you're going through. And some of their wives were there.
But it's tough, man.
It's tough.
Man, so
if men of God are feeling that,
how about
now when she does another turn? How about those lost souls at the crusade?
The lost ones, the LUST ones.
They've come to be found.
They've come to be found.
They're more lost.
It's tough.
It's very tough.
And to me, you know, out there in Nigeria, there's of plastic surgery. It's crazy. You're just like, God, have mercy. But I love what you said. You pulled your wife into your secret life. I think that's a good place.
Absolutely.
That's a good one.
Absolutely. I've discovered that marriages don't fail because of what you said. Marriages fail because of what you didn't say. It's the unsaids that kill our marriages. It's the unsayable things that drive men into places of loneliness that take them from privacy to secrecy. Because they have to tell someone. Men are built to tell someone.
And there's one girl somewhere.
And there's one girl somewhere.
Talk to me! Talk to me! pastor.
No, there's one somewhere.
Somewhere.
Of course, because men are built to share the secret. Secret sharing is how you know a man is your friend, not sex. That's why Delilah had sex. She didn't have secrets. So she didn't have intimacy. She said, when are you going to tell me the secrets?
Wow.
So you can have sex with a woman and she still feels lonely. Because a man's true friendship is the same as God. God only shares his secrets with his friends.
Wow.
If I'm intimate with you truly, I'll tell you my secrets. And many men are married to women who they've never told their secrets.
Many men. Wives, men. You know
and
what?
many men of God, even more so,
many.
Men of God. Imagine being a man of God struggling with pornography. Are you going to talk to your wife about that?
Because they can't handle it.
The only way you talk to your wife about it usually is when they find out. When they check your search history,
yeah.
unlock your phone,
You can
or
handle
they find out somewhere. They, as men of God, I think we build these super egos that
It's so
they
dangerous.
protect us from
It's
the
so
person we are in private. And then when we do the thing we do in private, we tell ourselves that's not who we are. We are who we are on stage.
So I work in like entertainment, and entertainers are like beautiful girls and crazy girls. So I work on sets, I produce shows, and imagine entertainers telling me, "Oh yeah, your pastor, we drink together." So I'm like, your secret life at some point doesn't become a secret anymore, and it damages the next generation.
Absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely. And it all goes back to that thrill. We're built to lose control. And so what most men will do is they'll divulge their secret to somebody that they know is no good for them. But they'll tell them the secret anyway because it's a thrill that kills. But it's that thrill that makes men excited. You ask men this question, you know. You like football?
I love football.
Who do you support?
Arsenal. Sad. I know.
That's my dad's team. So let's say Arsenal plays Manchester United. And you ask me, you say, can you record the game? So I record the game for you because you're at work, on set. You're going to watch it when you get home at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
You get home at 10 p.m. and before you've even spoken to me, I'm in your house. I'm like, oh, bro, listen, Arsenal won. Don't worry about it, 3-1.
Nah.
How do you feel?
Nah, it's
You
horrible.
feel upset?
Yeah.
Because I told you the points without you watching the game.
Yeah, it's the thrill.
Men love the game, not the points. Even if Arsenal won or lost,
We want the
you
game.
want to be in the game. And so it's the same thing. Men share their secrets with women who they know are no good because they love the game. And married men fall into a trauma called game over. So what do you do when the game is over? You're married, game over.
You play a rematch.
You
play a rematch!
Oh my God!
Away!
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You play a away match. Or you find a way to reignite the game in your own marriage.
And you have to find a way. It's deliberate. It's not.
It's deliberate.
It's not
Very
organic.
deliberate.
Crazy, man. And it's 30 years of marriage, 50 years, 60 years.
It's a long game.
It's a long
You
game.
gotta play the long game.
67 years, 80. Wow.
Absolutely.
And Tommy, we are oversaturated, our generation.
Oversaturated.
Sex is on the phone, it's on WhatsApp, it's on Instagram, it's in church. It's no more hidden. There's no shame anymore. It's crazy, man.
It is, and that oversaturation is what I believe, plays into our depression. Porn, drugs, alcohol, you name all the vices, every one of them is a search for one drug, dopamine. Every one of them.
Telling you.
Why do men watch porn instead of having sex with their own wives?
It's dopamine.
It's dopamine. Why do you have to massage your back, rub your feet?
Call her by 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Start massaging you for the day. When I can just go
there. One.
Exactly. So it's a search for dopamine. But we are so dopamine inundated, movies, TV shows, everything, Netflix subscriptions. TikTok is the worst of them.
Crazy.
Because the dopamine rush, they figured out a way to give you short shots. Of
10 seconds, 12 seconds.
So now the attention span of the average Christian to even a long sermon
It's
is gone. And if you miss the long sermon, you've really missed the dynamic.
Because it's a journey. Yeah.
And so we circumvent process. And I found this generation is damaged in that way. So I interviewed some people for jobs, and you always need to interview young people because they have the social savvy, the tech skills, energy. So I interviewed these young people. My PA does the preliminary interviews, and then they come see me. So this young man came for a job with my PA, and my PA asked him he's the worst person you ever want to interview.
Why?
He'll
break you.
Dig into your soul. Your butt cheeks will clench together on every question. So he's sitting there with the guy, and the guy's got suit and tie on, ready. You know, he was interviewing me for another personal assistant. So he said to him, "So what's your name?" Said his name. Said, "So tell me about your church experience." "Oh, you know, my last church was this." He said, "What do you mean your last church?" So he's hearing it. He said, "Oh, I left that church." "Why did you leave the church?" He said, "My girlfriend didn't want me to be a part of that church anymore." I said, "Why?" He said, "She just didn't want me to, so I had to leave." So let's say you come and work for R.O.A.R, and your girlfriend doesn't like R.O.A.R. He said, "I'll leave."
Are you these young kids?
Listen to this.
Gen Z guys.
Exactly. So said, "Thank you very much for your time. God bless you. We don't need you." Next person came, and he said, this person was like, "Yes, I'm getting ready to be married. Me and my girlfriend share everything." Now he's gisting with because this is my EA will get you very comfortable, relaxed, and he'll, "Oh, you share everything." He said, "Yes." He said, "So let's say my Oga and his wife are having an argument. Will your girlfriend find out about it?" He said, "Yes, now."
No time.
But what's happened to us? Pornography, masturbation, social media, all of these things. Social media, what does it do? It tells you add friend. Did you have a process? Did you make friends?
No.
So now you're disappointed with the people you appointed at a button. do you see what I'm saying? No process.
No process.
No
investment. No commitment.
You just slid into DMs, and that was it. Tinder, swipe left, swipe right. No process. So life and technology is finding a way to circumvent the very process that is necessary for human development. And yet you go to Silicon Valley, and you know the number one rule, Silicon Valley has schools for the children of those that work at Silicon Valley. The number one rule,
no phones.
No phones allowed.
They know.
They know that these phones are damaging us.
They know.
They're destroying our capacity to process,
to be human,
think, to have human interaction, to have rapport, to know who you're speaking to.
Before
somebody came to me for a job and they said, "Hey bro," I said, "Goodbye, God bless you. You've lost the job today."
Let me say this finally. When I worked at MTV before, in those days, to be a star like the band, you had to be a star. You had to grind. You had to go for shows. But now you can be a digital star.
Exactly.
So when you see these new kids on stage, they have no energy, nothing.
No gravitas,
no
discipline.
No discipline, no.
They make their money and they go.
Yeah, because they are all streamed.
Yeah.
So the music industry is even suffering because of digital stars. It's all about streaming. It's all about, it's crazy.
Remember the albums? Do you remember those days?
You have to.
Now it's just a single.
It's a single.
Get my single out.
Yeah. But can God work with this? This is the final question. Can God work with this? Because it's our reality.
No.
He can't.
No. What made me? I started ministry, like I said, when I was 15 years old. I'd never really had a childhood. Can't say I've had a childhood. I've always been known as somebody's spiritual father, somebody's leader, from as young as 15. So I wrote my first book when I was 18. I planted my first church when I was 16. I became an ordained pastor at 18 years old. I planted 16 churches by 21.
Father, have mercy.
I wrote 10 books by the time I was 22.
You work hard.
I've never known childhood, go out, play, sleep around. None of
Never.
that. No. I've only known me, my Bible, and God. And so, because of that, I was processed. I was processed by leaders. I learned respect. I learned honor. I learned you never go to a church without appreciating the husband or the leader of the house. Otherwise, he'll never invite you back again. Because if you preach well and everyone's awake, even the pastor's wife is stopped. When are we bringing the man of God back? I learned through process, rapport, relationship building, all of those things. So I'm not a Johnny-come-lately, although it may appear so. I've been processed.
20
And
years.
I continue to be processed. But there's a generation, my concern is that because they're gifted, the gift, the Bible says your gift brings you before important people, but wisdom and experience keeps you in the room. And my deep concern for a lot of people is that if we circumvent the process of a God of process, so the children of Israel, 11 days to get to the promised land, took 40 years. Why? Because God's a God of process. And he'll never circumvent process just because you upgrade your technology.
So are you sure that God won't change that? He won't.
He won't change that, no.
He won't.
It's up to us to develop the disciplines necessary for success. No matter how tech savvy we get, process will always be an essential part of God's development of humanity.
Thank you, bro.